The Mastering Local Marketing podcast helps local small business owners like you understand what it takes to successfully market your business and drive new customers through your doors. We provide actionable insights, interview leading experts and business owners in various industries, as well as provide tips and tricks we've uncovered over the last 25 years in the field. Whether you're starting your business or you've been at it for decades, let us provide you with the education and resources you need to grow your customer base. It's time to start mastering your local marketing.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Adriana Alvarez. I am the producer for Mastering Local Marketing. We are going to get right into our next episode here, starting off with our host, Matt Hansen.
Thanks for the intro. Jim and I are sitting here today. We are on episode 19, and today we are talking about the power of saying no, right? So years ago, I basically learned the power of this word. And most people use the opposite of it, right? They say the word yes way too much. And I know this seems a little bit different for the Mastering Local Marketing podcast, but you're going to see where we go with this today. And, just realize that saying this one simple word years ago saved me probably a third, if not half of the hours that I spend on a daily basis.
We'll talk a little bit about that word that shall not be mentioned. This is we're recording it live on TV and radio. This is kind of weird to record a podcast there, but somebody canceled the program, and I'm like, well, let's just go and do it live. And so we are live on WJOB AM 1230 and 104.7 here on, in middle of March of 2025. This stuff, of course, is evergreen, and you can listen to it at any time. And it's just, we won't swear. Not that we were swearing before, but we must be much more protective of the language being live here. Now, the word no, what does it mean to you in using it into your small business marketing strategy?
Oh, it's a great word. So when I say no, it means that what you're proposing to me is not worth my time, right? So time is, we've mentioned this a million times on this podcast, that time is your most valuable asset. And when you use the word no in certain situations, it will save you the amount of time to put back into your business on things that will actually matter. So, when I say protect your time, love him or hate him, and I'm going to throw that out there, love him or hate him, they say that when you sit down to talk to Elon Musk, the guy makes like $20 million every single hour. So when you sit down with him, they will ask you what this is about. And if it's not valued at that $20 million range, he's not going to take the meeting, right? He also has another way of looking at meetings where if you're not providing any value or you're not getting anything out of a meeting, you can stand up and walk out, which I think is phenomenal, right? I've been trying to institute that into higher ed, but
you cannot do that here. Everybody's we're on the campus of Purdue Northwest. My media is on this campus, and I will tell you right now, you cannot be that rude in academia.
No,
You'll be
ostracized. Yes.
Yes. What's the word when you get kicked out of the Catholic Church? What is it? You're only the Pope can do it. Excommunicated. You would be excommunicated from academia. But anyways, continue on.
So the real question is, when you're saying no, you are putting the value of your time ahead of what somebody is proposing to you, right? So it can be a meeting with a vendor. It can be a meeting with a customer that's a problem customer. It could be spending time on something that really you're just not good at, right? So, we're shooting this podcast. If I were to set up this entire podcast by myself, it would be a train wreck, right? There'd be a ton of flubs. We've all heard my intros from time to time. They're not always great. But
I mean, if you didn't have Adriana, this would be yes, exactly.
It would, between you and I we might be able to get along, but something would happen, right? So what we're really saying is, when we say no, we're actually valuing the time to do something for our business that makes more sense, right? And I had a mentor years ago that we would sit down and we would talk at lunch every so often. And he would always start with, repeat after me. And I'd say, what? He's like, repeat after me. I'm like, all right, what? He goes, say no. I go, no. He goes, I mean it. Say no. I go, all right, no. And he goes, every time somebody asks you to do something, I want you to value your time and go, is this adding value to my time? Does this make sense for me to do this? Or if I say no and I get out of this, am I going to put that time to better use? And it's funny because I started saying no and people stopped asking me for the things that were just sucking the time away from me. So no is a very valuable word. Yes is a very expensive word.
Okay, let's do some role playing. Are you ready? Are you ready, Adriana? We're going to do some role playing. Here we are, Matt Hansen. I've been bugging him to do a podcast forever to take that knowledge that's in his head and put it down so that small and medium businesses can really go at digital marketing and marketing in general. And he agreed to do it. And then all of a sudden, Matt Hansen came at it, and I'm like, I'm going to have to kind of drive this, and Adriana's going to have to produce it. And then all of a sudden, after about 4 or 5 episodes, Matt Hansen just went into overdrive, and now he's putting it on LinkedIn and all this stuff. And you're kind of into it.
I love it. It's fun.
You said yes, and it actually worked. So I'm going to ask him a question. You ready? Are you okay? We're going to go.
No.
No, actually, no. No, thank you.
All right. No, Adriana and I and Matt Hansen are going to go to the Podcast Movement conference in Chicago. Mm-hmm. It's, 27 minutes away at McCormick Place, right? So we're going to go to that, and we're going to look at, well, how do we do the podcast better? How do we market it? How do we get commercials, all that stuff? But the other side of that conference is, how do you do it from the business side? How do you set up a podcast network? So would you, this is the question, what do you think he's going to answer?
I'm waiting.
Would you consider going into business with me on a whole network of podcasts and not just your podcast?
I would love to have the conversation. And the reason that I say that.
Wait a second. He said maybe.
I didn't say yes or no, did I?
No.
No, because
he's open to it.
Because here's the thing, right? So I have found something that I actually enjoy doing, right? And there are things that I say no to all the time that I'm just literally, I said no to a couple things yesterday at work, and it was one of those, they asked me a question, would you be willing to do this? I said, absolutely not. It's not something that I'm really interested in doing. From a podcast perspective, you have noticed, I'm looking at this from a business perspective, right? So we are on episode 19. We're interviewing not only myself and yourself, but we're interviewing experts. I mean, we had Greg Gifford on the last episode in episode 18. He's traveling the world talking about SEO. Extremely, extremely intelligent individual. Why is that interesting to me? It's interesting to me because I'm learning as much as I'm giving out, and I'm trying to provide value to individuals. So when I listen to podcasts, what I do typically is I listen to 1, 2, maybe 3 of them, and I see what is their style. Is it a pitch for something they're selling? How are they looking at this, right? I love what we're doing here. We're providing one bit, at a minimum, one thing that you can walk away every single time you listen to the podcast. When you mention a business side of things, those people that know me, I'm a serial entrepreneur, right? So I have started multiple businesses. I'm part of multiple businesses. I'm in things that I never thought I would be into. Now, am I 100% in on some of them? No. I'm a silent partner in whatever it may be. But if there's something that I'm of extreme value that I see, I can learn so much more. I can start to learn this and put it towards my own use as well, but it's also going to benefit me, and it's not going to do anything that's going to take drastic amounts of my time, right? Like, I'm not going to spend 12 hours a day working on somebody's podcast here, right? Like, we talk about automation a lot and how we use technology and AI and all this other thing. So from that perspective, when you ask that question, that's why I didn't say no, because there's all of this stuff out there that we can do, and it's not going to be a drag on the time. So that's why I didn't say no. If you came to me and said, hey, Hansen, I want you in this studio for 12 hours a day, and I want you to spend $1 million on what we're going to do, I'm going to go, bye, right? It's getting warm. Tomorrow's supposed to be like 73 degrees. If you know anything about me, I do not want to be locked in an office or in a studio when it's 73 degrees. I want to go golfing. I want to enjoy the day. But so does that answer your question?
Well, it wasn't just role playing. I mean, I had to eat away at him to sit down and do the podcast. That took over. And we have so many podcasts around us of people that are very talented, not just already here, but there's some on the campus too. Right. And so the whole idea is, well, let's just aggregate them and see what happens. And we already have all the equipment. We already have the infrastructure for it. So it actually is pretty, and we already have the talent. So it's a pretty inexpensive venture, but it would take a little bit of time. So we have it on tape, Adriana. You heard it, right? Mm-hmm. When we go to the conference, he's got to sit in on some of the business stuff too, all right? Mm-hmm. All right. She's making a contract, by the way.
Oh,
she's putting that together.
It's not binding. She's only a senior.
Yeah. Let's go on with this. The power of saying no. We did a little exercise there, I guess. I love this one because one of the main things for the small and medium sized business person is the big B word. And you know it already if you have a business and you're stumbling across this podcast. And that's burnout.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, let's be honest. You're a small business owner. You are working 24/7. You're going to bed. We joke in marketing that your brain is always going. When you're a small business, your brain is always going as well, right? So you're always thinking about what's next. What do I need to do? How do I do this? Do I have enough time in the day? Who am I going to find to do all this stuff? So let's think about you as a car, right? So if you jumped in your car and for 12 hours, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week for 365 days, you drove that car on autopilot. Like you just never stopped. Or even worse, you're in downtown Chicago traffic, stop and go, 12 hours a day. What do you think is going to happen to that car? It's just going to get burned out, right? Like I remember the first car I ever bought. I drove downtown Chicago and went through that traffic. And in a matter of 2 years, that car was totaled. Right? The transmission was going to go out. It was just beat up. That's how we are as well. So if we're constantly saying yes to everything that comes in our door, they want you to go talk at a chamber event. You have a conference that you want to go speak at. You have customers that want to see you in person. So now you got to get in the car and drive all over the Midwest. I mean, these constant needs are going to break you down. So you have to start saying no, right? So you don't travel to work every day in your car. You stop driving every day. Maybe you go once a week. And I know I'm going back to the car example, but use no in those times that get out of the burnout. Because quite honestly, I see owners that have burnout constantly. And I ask them, what's wrong? And they're like, I'm just trying to do everything and I can't do it all. And I say, well, what do you enjoy doing? Like, well, that's not the question. I go, no, that's really the question, because then you got to start saying no to the things that you don't enjoy doing and find resources that you can do it, right? So technology, we've talked about AI and AI agents and, different things that you could do. Can you take some of that stuff off your plate and, get that out of the burnout situation? And that's really, find the things that you're happy doing, not that you hate doing.
Cal Newport puts out, I thought was a landmark book, and he does it on his podcast called Slow Productivity. He talks a lot about this, about being able to focus on deep questions and deep work, and kind of get rid of some of the, who was it? Was it Waldo or Emerson? Most men live lives of quiet desperation, frittered away by detail.
Yeah.
That was so long ago, but now it applies in the digital age. What about improving your decision making?
Oh, goodness. So, if we look at this and you have all these options in front of you, right? So let's just take something as simple as checking your email in the morning, right? So you go in and you open up your email and there's 79 unread messages. Now, you can start to go through that and you say, okay, well, I know these people. I start looking at it. Maybe there's, some promotional emails in there, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to get back to that. So what you're saying is yes to these types of things. Yes, I will open that later on. What ends up happening is you start to get a massive influx of emails that you now need to look at, right? So my inbox yesterday, I looked at it. There were 79 unread emails in there, which may not sound like a lot to a lot of people, but that's about normal for me on a daily basis. And
is that a Gmail or is that a university account?
That is 13 email addresses that are coming in.
Okay, good enough. I forget it. Sorry.
Yep. So what it is there's a variety of things in there that I need to answer, and that's fine, right? So I start to prioritize. I start to look at it and go, okay, this person, do they need an answer? Yes or no? Well, they're probably just sending information over of something that I'm going to have to deal with in the future, but they'll send follow-ups. No, I delete, right? So you start to make these decisions and you start to get rid of the things and you start saying no to individuals, right? So maybe I got a promotional email from a company that I buy from. No, I'm not looking at that today. If it's something great, I'm going to miss out on it. No big deal, right? But you have to start making those decisions and saying, okay, is this worth my time? And that will we'll start to look at your decision making and go, all right, I have you A or I have you B. Which one is more valuable to me? I'm going to go with B because they're going to provide more value for my business and for where I'm heading with my marketing or how I'm running my business or whatever.
So one of the things that Cal Newport talks about is, if you are into marketing, is to somehow narrow down your focus so that you can concentrate on the relationships with the people who are basically paying your bills.
Right.
How do you do that?
Well, we've talked about our best customers, right? So we've also talked about our worst customers. So you can go back into a couple podcasts and we talk about good versus bad. Bad customers will drain your time. Absolutely drain your time. So if a bad customer walks in and they're complaining, they'll complain to you for about an hour. Do you have that hour to give to them? They're a bad customer already. Do you really want to give up more of that time? So what you have to do is you start to make these decisions, right? So you start, I would love to talk to, Amy over here, because Amy has always been a terrific customer and we go golfing or whatever, right? But then you have, and I'm just using A and B here. We'll call her Barb, right? You have Barb over here. Every time she comes in, she wastes an hour of my time. She's always complaining about something with our services. Which one do I want to talk to? Let's talk with Amy, because Amy's going to bring out the best in us. She's going to, tell other people about us. Whereas Barb on the other side is always bad-mouthing something. Like, separate yourself from that. So we're saying yes to Amy. We're saying no to Barb. Try to separate, and that's going to, obviously save us some. I keep going back to time, but it's decisions that we make that really affect our business.
So ultimately, you're leading towards productivity.
Yep. So I made a decision probably about 2 years ago, and what happened was I had so many different things coming at me, whether it was family life, working at the university, my own consulting projects, other businesses that I'm involved in. And what I realized was I was spending the day juggling all of these things and nothing was getting done. It was like 10% of this was getting done in this, and 20% here and 30% there. And what I realized was I was never moving forward. I was always stuck. That to-do list never shrunk. And what I needed to do was just take and say, okay, there are 365 days in a year. And if you know me, I pretty much do a little bit of work every single day. Sorry, family. But, I'm always doing something. So
that includes Christmas Day.
It does. Unfortunately, it does. But what I like to say is if I do anything to the minimum, I want to make sure I get at least one thing done every single day. Checked off my list. And that's the minimum, right? So what we're saying is at the end of the year, if you're working towards a goal, and you do one thing, and you're doing a huge project, and if you just do one simple thing every single day, at the end of the year, you'll have done 365, tasks towards what you were trying to do, and you're moving forward on that. So you're accomplishing something every single day, right? So if I'm saying yes to everything else that's out there, right? Everything that comes at me, if I'm checking my email every morning and now I've got 15 new things that I have to do, I'm saying yes to those as well. Nothing is getting done. I need to say no and just say, all right, I'm going to focus on one, accomplish, go to the next. I'm going to try and get 2 done today, Okay, great. 2 accomplished. The next one, 3 accomplished. All right, now I've done 3 today. By the time, if I keep that pace up, then I'm going to get almost 1,000 things done every single year, right? So say yes to the things that you can accomplish. Say no to the new things that are being added to your list, and start to literally check things off.
Ultimately, small, medium business that we're talking to, not just the owners, but people who work in them and contribute and drive the 99% of businesses in America, which are small and mediums. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, you're trying to make money.
Right.
And so it might sound a little bit kind of leadership motivation podcast oriented on this episode 19 to be talking about saying no, but you got to bring it back to that point that your time equals money, and your time actually equals you're able to put more money into the marketing that we are talking about in all these other podcasts. So hit that a little bit.
Yeah. So if you're spending more time on, miscellaneous things that are coming in, problems, vendors, payments, right? You're chasing people for dollars. It's pulling away from you promoting your business, which means that you're not going to be driving more customers in. So what we have to understand is we have to start automating some of these things, finding resources that we can provide or that we can hire, and take those things off of our plate, because time does equal money. I know it's been said a million times, but if not more. But if I put $1 out there and I only get $1 back, we're not going to be in business very long. But if I put $1 out there and I get $100 back, that's a great business model, right? You would do that all day long. It's the same idea here. If you put an hour of time out there and you get nothing really in return, why are you doing that, right? But if you put an hour out there and it's paying off huge dividends down the line, work on that and put the other things to your employees, somebody that that you can hire, a consultant, whatever it may be. Find somebody to do those types of things and free your time up, right? You would never invest in the stock market, put $1 in, and 50 years down the line, you get $1 back. The idea is to put money in to then build something over the long haul. So from a marketing perspective, what we're trying to do is put the hours into marketing to promote our business that's going to drive new customers in and our old customers in, and do a phenomenal job at it. So we're investing, and our time is the investment that we're putting into it.
So he's Matt Hansen, I'm Jed, and we are actually live on radio and TV this week because we could. And we want to leave everybody with something to do for next week. What is it?
Yeah, just do me a favor. The next time somebody asks you to do something, and you look at it and you're like, I really don't want to do that, just say no. Just do that one time this week. Now, I do this every day, but do it one time this week and see what happens. Because most people are like, okay, that's fine, and they'll walk away, right? You'll feel a little guilt when you start to say no often, but realize that you are saving time, tons and tons of time, and you're not committing yourself to things that you just don't want to be part of anyway.
He's Matt Hansen. I'm Jed, and she is Adriana Alvarez. We're on the campus of PNW. This has been the episode 19 of the Mastering Local Marketing podcast. Thank you, Adriana. We appreciate it. And thank you, Matt Hansen.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see you later.
The Mastering Local Marketing podcast helps local small business owners like you understand what it takes to successfully market your business and drive new customers through your doors. We provide actionable insights, interview leading experts and business owners in various industries, as well as provide tips and tricks we've uncovered over the last 25 years in the field. Whether you're starting your business or you've been at it for decades, let us provide you with the education and resources you need to grow your customer base. It's time to start mastering your local marketing.